This is the Game Jesters Gaming Update Podcast, here with episode 37. We finished up the decade. We finished up the year. We finished up the decade. Now we are back with, we're going to go through, like we told you in our last podcast, we're going into this one with, decade in review. We're going to start this podcast off with, we're going to go back and forth between our top 10 games for the decade. But before we do that,
2010 to 2019 for those of you who don't know what the last decade was, because some people don't know. I'm not making this up.
Beginning of 10 and the end of 19, 10 years. Before that, some little highlights. I want to go back, and May 2018, I first started this podcast with the Game Fame Cup podcast. We did that for a little bit, and then August 5th is when Shamrock joined me, and we changed it to the Game Jesters podcast. So we've been going as the Game Jesters for 37 episodes since August 5th of 2018 is when we started. We're coming close to our full on 2. We're going to be going on 3. We're going to keep on going. We've been going for a few years now.
Yes. What? Because we're on episode 30, episode 37 here now, but then last year we kicked it up into gear, and then now here we are starting off 2020 back to our bi-weekly episodes, because we had a little bit of a break because things had slowed. Gaming news slows down like right before the Game Awards and everything, like right after everything E3 hits and everything like gets released and things slow down, and it's like
before E3 we get a lot before E3, then right after E3 everything is out there, so we didn't have a whole lot of news that week, then that whole month.
But now we have so much to talk about in the next couple, not to get too far off track here, but we have so much to talk about in the next upcoming weeks because PlayStation 5 is on the horizon. Hint hint. Yeah, see what I did there? Xbox Series X is now the thing. Now there's a rumor of a potential Nintendo Switch Pro. I mean, there's a lot that...
The Wii Switch U?
Switch with what?
The Wii Switch U?
The Wii Switch U. Wow, that's a tongue twister.
The Wii Switch U.
I feel like we can make that. Wario... Yes, I'm already done. But okay, moving back on to our...
top 10 games of the decade. I'll let you start with your number 1. We're going 10. We're going 10 down to 1. So,
all right. So before I get into my number 10, let me just say I do have a few honorable mentions, because I did say it was really hard to only pick 10, because like when I was ranking them, I almost had like a list of like 30, and then I had to like be like, ooh, you know what? I got to remove this.
So before we do number 1. We'll throw our honorable mentions right after. We'll do 2, and then we'll put all our honorable mentions, and then we'll do our top number 1 game.
Okay, we can do our honorable mentions that way.
Yeah.
We can do it that way. Yeah, we can do it that way. But I do have honorable mentions. But all right, so we'll go into number 10. For me, was Life is Strange. I thought the first one. I didn't play the second one, but the first one, I loved the story. And I'm not really a fan of these types of games, like these, story, choose your adventure, choose what you do kind of games. They kind of do get boring to a point, but this one, it grasped my interest for so long. The whole butterfly effect thing, I was hooked. I loved it. And I'm so glad it got so much, it got so much critical acclaim, and then it won all these awards, and then it set off a whole chain of different, it just set off a whole franchise that's just phenomenal, and I love it. That's my number 10.
I forgot about that one. That was a good one. That would have made my list if I thought of it. My number 10 is God of War, the new one for PS4.
Oh my God, speaking of forgotten games.
Yeah, that had great story. I wish there was more combat. There was a lot of puzzles in it, which are okay, but I wish there was more combat and more story, more dialogue. I feel like they kind of pushed away from the dialogue, which is why it's still a great game, but why I get only 10 is it could have used more cutscenes, more dialogue. But God of War, still a great game. It's my number 10.
That's a phenomenal game, and it kind of rejuvenated the series a little bit, too, because it was, a lot of people were not going to be sure of how that was going to go, because it's like, oh, this is just going to be some sort of crap with his son, and there was a lot of people judging that, going hardcore into it. Like,
we kind of did that first. We called it Dad of War, thinking, what is this going to be about? But
but it ended up redeeming itself, so it was
it
good.
was a
So,
great game. I'll say it gets my number 10 on the top
I
10 of
didn't
the
put it on my
decade.
list, but I should have. And now that I'm thinking, honorable mention, I'll throw it on there.
And now your number 9.
My number 9. I mean, okay, take this as if. I don't know, I'm just gonna say. I know you're not gonna agree with me. I say Friday the 13th was my number 9, and I
Interesting.
know that it's a glitch fest, and there's lots of things that are wrong, but the core mechanics of the game and getting that whole experience of you know, it actually it's got people interested in the franchise again. And number 2, it is still some of my best gaming moments of this decade were just being having Jason's music come and then out of nowhere someone who's better than me at the game just like coming up and yeeting me across the freaking map and like that
Yeah.
intensity. So for that reason, I freaking loved it, and that's my number 9 right there. Is the Friday the
Nothing
13th.
Nothing beat that game. Then when it first came out, no one knew what was going on. It was brand new to everyone. And you're in the game. Jason shows up. You're scared. It's like, holy crap, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I'm doing. You're running away, but Jason's still not a great player. You don't have those try-hard peoples. So you're able to get away from him, but he won't leave you alone. The whole game you're chasing, and you feel satisfied because you're getting away, but he won't let off, and you're just scared. For 20 minutes, your heart is pounding. I love that about Friday. Now it's nothing like that,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
for Shelvin's former self. That's kind of how it was a little bit on Switch when it launched, because everybody was on the same playing field. Even though we're coming myself, everybody was level 1, so it was like you didn't have the perks yet, you didn't have the skills, and I mean, granted, there was the updates that were missing. Like, I mean, there was the updates that you had the map icons and things that you didn't have when the game launched initially, which made the game harder. I'd love to go back to that launch state and play it then. I really would. I think that would be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. But you're number 9.
So my number 9 is probably dropped out. One of the biggest games with the PS4 when it came out was Horizon Zero Dawn. This game,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it was
I just
fabulous.
started this
Oh, you
recently.
did? You're in for
Yeah, I
a
finally got. I
good
was
run.
hesitant, but continue.
It has an amazing story, amazing combat. I love all the different bow and arrow. I like using bow and arrows, so that pulled me in. And I love all the different kind of arrows you get. The trap arrows, the electric arrows, the blast them, the shock arrows, take down the big things. I love the whole thing. I hate stealth games, but this game actually did it good. You get stealth armor where you can stealth through easily enough, and it's not all focused on stealth, where you can go, if you get caught, it's not game over. You can go and take them out and fight, and it's a whole lot of fun. I love the game from beginning to end. It was a great
Yeah,
game.
watching my other half play it, I actually got me interested in wanting to play it, and now it's on PlayStation Now until April. So if you haven't played it, now PlayStation Now.
Yeah, now's the time. And it's a great game, and I'm pretty sure 2 is going to come launch with PlayStation 5.
Oh yeah,
I'm
it's
almost
definitely gonna launch on PlayStation 5.
And the way they set it up, it's a perfect setup transition into 2, and I can't wait. If 2 is as good as 1, it's going to be probably on my top 10 again.
And the game exceeded expectations. Let's just be honest. Like, a lot of people didn't know how that was going to be, especially because it was competing. It was launching the same week as another big game, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and so I mean that it had some stiff competition and it's held its own. So
Yeah, its sales were up there, and it got amazing ratings. Everyone loved it. So yeah,
nice.
that was my
I
number
agree.
9.
That's a good game. That's a good one to have on the list.
Yeah.
For me, number 8, I'm focusing on the online part, but because I really haven't played the story. But we're talking about GTA Online, GTA 5. I'm mostly focusing on the online because that is its own thing. That's like there's the whole GTA 5 game, but then there's the online universe that has all this other stuff going on, and they're constantly expanding it. Instead of giving us GTA 6, they're like, we're just going to constantly update this game with all sorts of stuff. Now they have casino heist and all this crap. Like, it's always constantly evolving, and for a game that's now 7 years old,
7
it
years.
stayed consistent and stayed. They didn't have to update it for 7 years, and here they pushed. So I mean, it's earned its place for me, and I was never really a huge GTA fan, but this was the one that won me over.
That was a good one. That was probably like I lost after Vice City. I dropped out of it, and then like San Andreas didn't care for. 4 didn't care for. 5 pulled me back, and I spent a lot of hours back in 5 again, but mostly the multiplayer.
And one thing about it is there's an amazing clip on YouTube. You guys should all check it out. It's called "World's Best Uber Driver," and it's it's on the Jester TRT channel if you follow that guy on YouTube. And
It's a great video.
It's a good clip.
5-star, please. It deserves a thumbs up for 5-star.
5-star Uber service. You're number 8.
My number 8, I have, but from software, going back, like most of mine have been newer ones. This goes back a long time, still in the decade, as Demon Souls, the first addition to the Soul series. Coming in,
my God.
I would say Bloodborne is my next. I really love Bloodborne, but I think Demon Souls takes my favorite of like all the Souls games. Next would definitely be Bloodborne. But this game, it's tricky, it's rough, but it still has really good story. It wasn't like, did you ever play them?
I want to. I really want to, but I feel like I keep hearing about how difficult they are and how you will throw your controller through the window.
Oh, so my favorite Demon Souls is 2009. My bad. So I meant Bloodborne is of this. Demon Souls is the first, but Bloodborne is of this decade. My favorite.
I think we'll allow it because 2009 kind of is 2010 if you think about it.
Right? Yeah, but
right?
Bloodborne.
I need to get into those. I need to play, but I keep hearing about like the difficulty, and I'm like, the heck. Bloodborne was a fun game. Yeah, I have someone in the chat saying Bloodborne was a fun game, and
Bloodborne. See, I like the Dark Souls games, but Bloodborne was a lot better than them. I think Bloodborne had more dark, more kind of you had to they didn't give you the story, but you had to figure out the story. So I liked the story a little bit more, and so there was that. But moving on to your number 7.
Okay, so I unintentionally did. I didn't realize I did this until just now. This was not planned, and I know you're not gonna believe me when I say this, but because you know how I am with numbers and things. Like when we were that one podcast when we were talking about the twos, and it was all about the twos, and
so let's see.
So my number 7, not planned. I swear to you. Resident Evil 7 as my number 7.
Nice.
That was not at all planned, but yes, it brought so much excitement to me because it was it took okay, Resident Evil 7, we know going from around 4 forward was leaning more towards action, and then each game after that was going more down the action track. 5, kind of had some action and still had some of the horror elements. 6 completely abandoned the horror aspect for the most part, but 7 brought it back to life. And then it took what PT did, and I know that you love PT, one of your all-time favorite games.
Yeah, it's on the list. I'm bet.
It took what PT did, like that formula, and it upped it. And it's like Resident Evil 7 potentially is like the game that the new Silent Hill could have been. And it was amazing. I loved it.
Okay, yeah, I can see that one. So, I have.
It was hard. It was hard to not put Resident Evil 2 there, but
Resident Evil 2 was a great one, but I didn't get it to the top because it was a remake, so I didn't want to put it on the list again. Although, since we're talking about plan, completely unplanned either was Final Fantasy VII as my number 7. No, I didn't put Final.
Both did that.
No, mine's not. See, Final Fantasy VII, they did come out. They re-released it and remastered it on the PlayStation 4 in this decade, and that would be my number 1. But I'm not including remakes, which is why Resident Evil 2 is not on my list, and Final Fantasy VII Remastered didn't get put on my list. For the remake next year, it's fair game. But this one, remastered, normally it would be my number 1 because I love it, but I'm not going to put it on my list.
Spoiler alert, I don't have any remakes on my list either.
Yeah, I figured better not to put them on. We'll do original games instead of going
And I
back.
didn't even do that intentionally. I just didn't put any remakes. I couldn't think of any of them at the time.
Mine was intentional. Final Fantasy VII originally was on my list, and I took it off to have just core games.
But for real, what is your number 7?
For real, my number 7 is The Witcher 3. And with the Witcher TV show out now, this game has shot up in popularity and fame.
Oh,
it's big.
Light shade on my Twitch right now. You talk about The Witcher, it's gonna blow up my chat with what? Oh my god, I'm gonna see nothing but The Witcher for the next 10 seconds in my chat.
Yeah,
so...
see, it's sad that so many people have never played this game and they're just finding it, but at least they're finding it now. It's been out for a long time, one Game of the Year before. But yeah, touch it.
Yes.
But this game deserves. I mean, it was a really solid, well put together, great game.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction. Actually, I'm gonna say NPD numbers for December when they get released. I'm gonna say that The Witcher 3 is gonna head back onto the top 10 charts.
I could see that
sold in December
with the TV
that's
show
gonna
and
be my
everything.
prediction. I think sales of the game are gonna be upped from the show. So,
I could see it, and I hope it does because it deserves it.
I have it on PC. I gotta play it yet, but
worth the play.
I have to get back to it. I have to get back.
But
it's on my list.
Your number 6.
All right, this is my number 6. It's gonna be controversial, and maybe for the wrong reasons. But Lightshade, can you do me a favor and press Y to honk?
I know what it is. I already know what it is.
Untitled use case. Let me tell you why. Not because I was a great. I loved it. For me, it proved that graphics don't always make a game. Like it's always about. Goddamn that goose. But for me, it was simple, and it was simple enough that the puzzles were good, and it was like it just literally proved to me that like a small indie game can be just as good as like a huge AAA title, and that there's so many different games in the gaming spectrum that it doesn't always have to be about how you can make it be the most realistic. It still was fun, and then it's just so amazing to be an a-hole goose. I know I've said that in the past, but it's my spirit animal. A goose is my spirit animal. Moving on to your number 6.
Okay, I could see it. So my number 6 is again a more of a newer one of the games, but Final Fantasy 15 came out probably 2016 or something. I remember when it first came out, I haven't been too excited about Final Fantasy for a while. Like 10-2 Final Fantasy 13, 1, 2, and 3 were all, I didn't like any of them. So I wasn't hyped for Final Fantasy. Then I was watching a trailer and this looked really good, but I didn't know how it was until I actually played it, and I loved it. The story, the characters, everything about it, the whole twist, the story twist that they do with all the old Final Fantasy games, how it pulls you in and they do this big emotional twist. They did that perfectly. And the whole setup and everything about this was amazing. And then the whole lore of the game, how you got to figure things out that aren't really like, you need to really pay attention to what's going on. So I'll give you little hints, and then you find out, wow, there's so much more to the story they put in than they actually put in the actual story. Amazing game.
So I'm gonna make another quick bold prediction while we're talking about Final Fantasy. When we do this again in 10 years, and
when we're gray,
I'm just gonna say that your number 1 of the next decade is going to be Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh yeah, I can already call it. Number 1 will be, I can guarantee.
So when we come back to this in January of 2030, Jesus, it seems
like so far away.
It's going to be like, here, it's going to sneak up on us though.
Hell, when we do this again in 2021, doing the year recap, it's going to be there.
That's a safer prediction.
Yeah. But
because when Stadia takes off by 2030, of course. But
eventually. But
another time for another day. Number 5, we're talking about y'all gonna be old as. Yes, we will be old. Shut up.
Yeah. We will be old. But moving on to number 5 for you.
Number 5 for me. Okay. This is a fun game. I love this game. It is Thimbleweed Park. For those of you, it's a point-and-click adventure game. For those of you who don't know, don't follow. It was like the follow-up to Maniac Mansion: Day of the Tentacle. I love both of those games so much, and there's so many inside jokes that reference those two games, which is amazing. So it kind of some new people might not get the jokes, but if you were a fan of those other two games, you will definitely get the jokes. And you see like Sandy and Dave from like the Maniac Mansion working in a diner, for God's sakes. And then there's a ridiculous joke where you're selling tubes, and then like circuit tubes, and you're like, what should I name this place? And one of the options is YouTube, and then the character's like, YouTube, oh, that'll probably never take off. And then like it's just such stupid jokes like that it makes for an amazing game. I love it. You're number 5.
Thimbleweed, I like that game. I still gotta play it. That and Day of the Tentacle, those games, I've never played them.
Oh man, I can't spoil it, but you got to see how it ends. Just Google the ending, and it's hilarious.
I'm going to. I'll have to look it up. My number 5 is a very cliche game. It's generic and everything, and everyone's going to be like, oh, okay, called it. It's on like everyone's list. And that is Skyrim. Skyrim is just such a solid game, well built. All of them. I'm guilty of buying it 4 different times. So
Alexa, play Skyrim.
But I bought it on the PlayStation 3, got the Platinum. I bought it on the PC, played it a lot. Bought it on the PlayStation 4, got the Platinum again, and then I bought it for VR. So I bought it 4 different times, and I've enjoyed it and loved it every single time. So Skyrim, great story, amazing open world. It's the game that kind of pushed the pathway for open world RPGs. It's amazing. It's well built. It has its glitches, but they're funny glitches. And yeah.
Oh man. And the mods on PC, the mods are amazing.
There are a lot of good mods.
Oh, I still love the Macho Man Randy Savage mod that there's, and the dragon just goes flying. Go, oh yeah, and I'm dead every time I see that mod. I'm like, God, that's amazing.
Donkey puts a good little twist on the mods too. A crab with a monocle. That got too far. Master Chief, let's get the fuck out of here. We'll have so much of that.
We need a Ric Flair mod. I need my Skyrim people to be go woo. I just need that in my life. Skyrim's a good. I'm not gonna lie. I almost put it on my list, but it just narrowly missed it.
So
good game, great game.
Great
Worth buying
game.
4 times. Buy it a 5th time. Get a Switch and buy it a 5th time.
Probably might, but you're number 4.
Number 4. Okay, this one I judged the hell out of when it came out, and I said, this looks so stupid. Why on earth would anybody play this? Here I am, 16 hours one night, trying to get a trophy, rubber band in my controller.
Okay,
we're talking
I know
about
the game.
Rocket League. I got so addicted to it. I did not expect in a million years that I would ever want to play a game that involved freaking little like RC type cars hitting a freaking soccer ball. Nothing about it on paper sounds good, but then when you play it, it is the most addicting thing on the planet. It is just, it's fun. I love it. It's mindless fun, and sometimes it gets intense, and I love it. It ended up being one of my favorite games. I play it a lot now, and I'm addicted. My name is Shamrock, and I'm addicted to Rocket League. You're number 4.
See, Rocket League. I love that game, so I'm glad you played it, and I love going back to play it. But my number 4 is the Infamous series. I'm not going to put just one on. If I had to, I would say number 2 is my favorite. But I loved Second Son significantly. It was such a great game. I love the powers in Second Son, but 2 had great powers, great additions that 1 didn't have, an amazing story. I felt Second Son was great, but it didn't have the story pulling it that 2 did. You felt attached to Cole, you love Cole, all the story, the bad guys, everything, and then the end, the twist. I love twist endings. And that twist was such a great ending.
Was Second Son really the last one?
They did First Light, I think it was called, after that one, which was a little mini stories that was a prequel to.
So it was like a spin-off or something, or a prequel.
Yeah, like a little spin-off.
So we haven't had one since 2014. Then
it's been
due for that's a game series I completely forgot about because I just associate it with last decade. First Infamous came out at the end of the last decade, and the second one kind of flew under the radar. So Oh yeah, that's one. We're way due for that.
Yeah. And so I put the
Good
entire
choice though.
Infamous series. I don't want to clog it, putting one, two, three, and that. So I just
Mhm.
put the entire series.
That's a good
'Cause
choice. I have to revisit that one. Definitely,
it
definitely
was,
revisit the series, but it's a good choice.
yeah, a great game.
I'll give you props there.
And what number did we leave off on here?
We're at number three,
Number
so now we're
three.
getting into the intensity. For me, Super Mario Odyssey took my number three. It was the first real 3D Mario game we've got since Super Mario Sunshine, or not Sunshine. Sorry, my God, Galaxy. Super Mario Galaxy, Sunshine. Sunshine was crap, but I mean
Yeah,
Super
it
Mario
was.
Galaxy, the first 3D game we got since Galaxy, and Galaxy 2, I almost put on my list, but I didn't, but because that came out at the beginning of the decade. But Super Mario Odyssey, man, it just brought I loved throwing on that little hat and taking over people's bodies, and it was just it 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 reminded me of why I was a Nintendo fan and why I'm.
It sounds a little bit like possession going on there, and you need Luigi's Mansion 3 to come and take care of them.
No. Even though both games have possession, we're not doing this again. We're not triggering me every week. No, we're not making a clip out of this every week.
I had to
No,
find a way to bring it in. And when you
no.
brought possession up,
The Facebook clip haunts me because I made a video of it advertising the episode, and then Facebook is like, "Do you want to sponsor this post? Here's what it will sound like." Every week it does. Every day it does that to me. Facebook is against me.
hey,
Your number three, please.
my number three is should have been my number one, and I kind of still want to push it up farther. Maybe number two. I might do it, but I'm going to leave it where it's at. Is the Uncharted series as number three.
Yes.
I loved all of them, but I'm putting. I don't remember the two. Yeah, they were all in the decade. I'm pretty sure. Maybe one wasn't, but two I think was.
Two was the tail end of last decade. Two came out in October of 2009, and then there was like the first DLCs for it. I think came out in 2010.
Well, maybe it'll still
The
count.
multiplayer I think came out in 2010, or it was part of the game. I don't remember.
But I
But
put the entire series on. If I can pick just one, again, just like Infamous, it would be number two is my all-time top favorite. But being is in the top decade, just like Demon Souls with the Souls games, Infamous with the Infamous games, and Uncharted, I'll put Uncharted 4 right there at the top. Two is
oh,
my all-time
four.
favorite,
Okay. All
but
right, that's a little
4,
controversial. I get it. I get it.
4 was a
Now
great game.
we got the daughter taking over the series probably soon.
If they
I predict
continue
that's
them, they
gonna happen.
might have ended it. If they do, I'm fine. I'll play as her. She's still, I still like the whole.
Yeah, I think that's what they want to do. I know Nathan Drake's story is over because he's with
Yeah, Elena
Is it
Fisher.
Elaine?
Yeah,
Elaine. I just
Elena
want to check out the
Fisher.
name right. Yeah, and they had the daughter, and I feel like the daughter's going to be. Give me a crossover game with Laura Croft. Let's make that happen. Let's do a Tomb Raider
Huh.
Uncharted crossover.
That could actually be really interesting if they work together and do that. That would be a really good kind of crossover.
That could work, and especially could you imagine Elaine getting jealous over in her triangles? I mean,
Yeah, but
there's some. I'll get back to that in a minute. But my number two,
you're number two.
because it ties into that. My number two is I did this again. I did not want to do this again with numbers. Super Mario Maker 2. I don't know how I did this. The second time
Super.
I've done this in the list.
You mean
But
Super
Mario
Mario
Maker
World
2.
2?
Super Mario World, yes, of course. No, I love the first Mario Maker, but then of course I was clamoring for a second one for so long, and you know that I was like, oh, when's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? It happened. It exceeded all my expectations. I still play it. I have the most success on my streams playing Super Mario Maker 2. Shout out to any of my people who follow me because of Super Mario Maker 2. You guys are the best, and those who come to my room and have fun with it. It's made Twitch streaming enjoyable for me. So that's one of the reasons I really love the game. But you're number two.
My number two, which should have been my number three actually, because I think Uncharted would probably be my number two. But this one's still an amazing game and it belongs where it's at. My number two is the Fallout series. Again, Fallout 3 came out 2000, what? I don't remember, 7? I know it was a long time ago. That one,
Where's Lightshade to talk about Fallout 76?
Fallout 76 is my all time favorite. No,
Oh, of course.
Fallout
That's number
series,
one.
I loved all of them. 3 would probably be my all-time favorite. New Vegas was great, but for this decade, I'm putting Fallout 4 as my favorite.
4. That's a good. I have to play that. It is on PlayStation Now, so I know
Yeah.
I keep hyping PlayStation Now. I just got PlayStation Now, so I keep saying that. But
4 was an
I
amazing game. It had a good story. Like the Fallout games, I always like their story. It's an open world, so it's hard to have a big story in the open worlds, but it had a good story that you can follow. Millions of side quests, not millions, but tons of side quests.
millions.
A lot of companions, open worlds, so much to explore, so much to modify your weapons. A lot of people complain about it, but I loved building the settlements. That was probably my most favorite part of the game, was building up all of the settlements and
A lot of
getting
people
the.
didn't like that then, huh?
I don't know why. I love that part. I went back and just after I platinumed it, spent hours just building every single settlement up.
All right.
Speaking
So
of,
now we
here's
have
a
some
settlement
honorable
building.
mentions before we get to our number ones.
Ah, yeah, the honorable mention.
For me, my honorable mentions. I'm just going to run through them. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
anything about them, but I have Shovel Knight, great game. It kind of, I'm not going to say reinvigorated platforming, made it indie games popular. Until Dawn, great game. One of yours I had on my honorable mentions, Horizon Zero Dawn. And like I said, I just started playing it, so it might have been higher had I played it earlier. 2 Point Hospital, loving the hell out of that. And Watch Dogs were my honorable mentions for the decade.
My honorable mentions are Destiny is an honorable mention, even though Shadowkeep kind of, but Destiny is still. I love Destiny. Shadows of Mordor, an honorable mention. Great game. Stardew
I
Valley,
have that now.
Until Dawn, and Final Fantasy VII Remastered on the
See, we
PlayStation 4.
both had Until Dawn as honorable mentions.
I did. I loved Until Dawn. I love my story-based horror game. So Until Dawn's definitely.
Before we get to our worst, we have our number ones. So my number one, which is kind of funny when you were just talking about your number 3. My number one, I chose Uncharted 3 as my best game of the decade.
Uncharted
And that's why I
3.
kind of held off on not saying anything too much about Uncharted, because I was like, ooh, I can't spoil it. It's my number one. He's talking about it now, but it's my number one. Damn it, shut up.
Number one. See, I guess, when did Uncharted 3 come out?
Uncharted 3 was 2012, 2011, 2012, around there.
Okay, so it just pushed its way
It
in.
did have a couple delays along the way.
I loved
Virgin.
3, but I think I like my order definitely goes 2, 1, 4, 3. So 3 would be I love 3. I love all of them, but 3 would probably be my least favorite of them all.
I would say my order would be 3, 2, 4, and then 1. I mean, I loved 1, but then like everything after just was like it upped the ante so much.
It did.
Although none of the games really stood out like as individuals, they all felt like a good continuation. But it was still each game. Also, even though they didn't stand out, each game had brought something new to the thing where there was some sort of element that the previous game didn't have. Like from 1 to 2, the combat changed slightly. There was there was something slightly that changed a little bit there, but you couldn't really pinpoint it. And then
See, that's where
3 really gave us more backstory, which is what I really liked. And then 4 was like the perfect conclusion. So
yeah, that's true. I did like that. Seeing young Drake as well with his brother.
yeah, that's why I really liked it, because then everything was tied together so nicely by the end of 4, and it just worked. What was your number 1?
Before, I loved The Last of Us, which is Sony's. They did their game of the decade. They put The Last of Us, and I loved that. But it did not match up to Uncharted. I feel Uncharted I felt more drawn into the story, more emotional. So yeah, Uncharted's the way to go for Naughty Dogs. But my number 1 is a game. Speaking of leaving emotional, this game it was such a great game. It was like 3 games built in one when you beat the game and then you go back. It was Nier Automata.
I had a feeling I should have said that in chat. I should have said, because I said I know what I feel like is going to be his number 1.
Yeah, see,
Because that was your number 1 game last year too, I think.
Yeah, I think it was when we did the.
Yes.
But yeah, I loved this game. Loved every bit of it. Well, first off, Yoko Taro, he does amazing games. He's really good at his story. So his story, right from it, pulls you in, draws you, attaches to the character, the story, the big twist. I keep saying this, but I love twists. I love twists in the stories, love twist endings. I love them, and he does them great. So I love the whole time. The whole combat, I love the way you can. I like fast paced combat. So I loved getting in there, slashing, going through, doing all these epic combos, taking on huge groups of enemies really fast. And just having all these powers and the story, everything about it, I loved. And his first game, Near Gerald, I forget what it was called. That was a great game too, but I liked Automata so much more. It was such a great game, and I can't wait for him to see the next Near game that he has come out.
You know what? I was gonna say something. I was gonna say something about that, and I cannot remember for the life of me what it was. I still haven't played it yet. I know I'm kind of I'm slacking here. I'm
Yeah,
really slacking, but
you got it. It
I
was
definitely need to play that. And
one of my all-time favorites right here.
I feel like it also flew under the radar as far as like. I feel like as far as hype and everything, I feel like it kind of flew under the radar, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I guess a little bit because not a whole lot of people follow this series, but it sold incredibly well, and it still it did great.
Oh, you know what? I would probably like it because it's the same people. I didn't know Platinum developed it.
Yeah.
So they do Bayonetta and Astral Chain, which was surprisingly good. So Platinum really knows their hack and slash. So I could see why you put that as number one. Platinum is pretty good with that.
Yeah. It's a great game.
So did you make a worst list that we could wrap up with because
Yeah.
we're running out of time?
Oh, what time do we? Oh, yeah, that did take us
Yeah,
a
we're a
lot.
little over time, but
So we'll just go through this. We won't talk about it a whole lot. We'll just go through and just mention our top 10, so our top 5. So do you want to do it back and forth, or you just want to do your top 5? I'll do my top 5.
we'll just each reveal our top 5, and
Okay.
then I'll just to save time here. So
Yeah.
I say I'll go my top 5 worst of the decade. Get ready for this. Number 5, Nickelodeon kart racers, complete garbage. I mean, you can't. How can you mess up a kart racer so bad? Just don't play it.
Never even
Number
heard of
4, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. I don't even like Animal Crossing to begin with, but you want to talk about this was literally the example of like, hey, let's just sell you this was a reason to try to sell Amiibo that people didn't want because no one wanted the Animal Crossing Amiibo. Epic failure. Number 3 for me, Devil's Third. So much potential, but oh god, what the hell? Making it exclusive to the Wii U and then it just being a bad game. No, boo boo. Number 2, this is controversial. I'm gonna say it. Red Dead Redemption 2. Sorry, it didn't tick my boxes. And then number 1, I'm not even picking one game for this. I'm taking them all. WWE 2K series from 2K14 to 2K20. Every 2K WWE game has been absolute trash, glitch fest, complete hot mess, and nothing redeeming about them. You want to see some fun? Watch a WWE 2K20 glitch video, and you will have the time of your life.
Huh.
But those are my top 5 worst of the decade.
Okay,
What you got
so
in your worst?
I'm gonna jump on my top 5 worst games of the decade, where I lost them here. All right, so Shadowkeep, Destiny 2 Shadowkeep was up there because, oh man, everything that was good that I liked about Destiny, they went and crapped on it with Shadowkeep. Like, they give you everything. It's kind of an insult to anyone who played the game right on launch and was a big fan of it. They kind of crapped all over them because it's like all that hard work and money you put into playing your game, we're going to take that all away, make it mean nothing, and we're going to give it to all these other new players for free. So, crapped on us, don't like it, they ruined it. Next one was Anthem. Yeah. Anthem had such a big hype around it, turned out to be a boring crap fest. It was everything, and every time they tried to put something fun out, they just completely ruined it and made it completely boring. Bad game.
I agree. I almost put Anthem on my list, but I felt it suffered enough. So
Yeah, the next one, Battlefront 2. It was
Oh,
had
wow.
potential. Battlefront 1 and 2, actually. I'm going to put both of them because I didn't like either one. They took everything that was fun about Battlefront and they took it out, and all it did was make it a Call of Duty with Star Wars characters. Everything that was fun about the original was the galactic conquest, going over, taking over the planets, having those all-out wars, trying to take over the whole map, and they took that out. The only, like, the best thing that they had, and then they made it so you just pay to win. Call of Duty pay to win. Didn't
True.
like it.
Very true.
Number 4 was of...
Number 2, right?
Oh, yeah, number 2. I forgot. We're counting down. I had another one here, but I forgot what it was. So I'm putting Mass Effect Andromeda. No other reason than it was just glitchy and it didn't follow the good story of Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. 3, but the other ones, it didn't have as great of a story or a kick.
I felt Andromeda suffered enough as well, so I didn't put it on my list. I was going to, but it suffered enough. Just like
Yeah.
Anthem, suffered enough.
I did have another game for here, but I didn't write it down and I forgot it. So this is just one that just popped up right now. I just thought of it. I did have another game for number 4, but I don't want to waste time thinking of it. My number 1 all-time worst game of the decade. It's a total crap fest. It doesn't even deserve to be a real game anymore. They should just take it out. Battlefield 5. DICE, EA, you guys crap the bed here. Destroy this game, get rid of it, burn it, never make another Battlefield again.
Throw it in the landfill with ET, man.
It is a glitch fest. You play first off, the campaign is about 4 hours to complete it. There's no work put into it. They copy and paste any other campaign they did just to take as little work as they can actually put in this game. There's no work done here. The campaign is boring. No, like, stories. The story sucks. The people suck. Everything about it sucks. Don't like it. It's a glitch fest. I was running around and the map just disappears. You're running on thin air. There's the textures fade away and it turns into sand, grid sand, and it's just flat, like gray flat.
This sounds like a good game. I don't know what you're talking.
The NPCs, there's a guy sniping in a tower, and he just falls through the tower and gets stuck in one of the 2x4s midair. Another guy just starts walking, and then he just flies off into space.
Do you
There's
still have this
glitches.
game? Please do a glitch video.
Oh, I have all these video clips. I will do a glitch video because I saved every one of these
Yes,
things I
please
talked
do it.
about.
We will post it to Facebook.
I'm driving a car and the road just disappears and I go down and crash into this ditch and I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
I do love glitches, though. I'm not gonna lie. I love laughing at them. I'm just sorry, but it's terrible but true.
Thing that made this the worst game of all, I'll go into really fast, was beyond all of this was DICE and EA. They crapped on their trophy list and they refused to fix it. First, they took one of the trophies that you need to get the platinum. They took it completely out of the game altogether. They took a map that you had to play. They took it out of the game, and they don't care. They glitched their trophies. You have to grind out 100,000 points in each class. They put a patch out that it was reset all of everyone's progress. Your progress is still there, but they reset for the trophy. So I had 100,000 for every character, didn't get the trophy, found out they put a patch out to reset all your progress, and it's like, who does that? Why would you screw your fans for playing your game over? Terrible game.
They did it because they wanted to annoy you. So they were like, we are going to do whatever we can to.
Yeah. Well,
Why?
I tried to sum that up really quick because we're way over our time limit. So that's why I've been talking really fast.
Other topics because we're going to discuss the PS5 logo. I don't know if you want to mention anything about it quick, but that's another episode if we want. But
it's innovative. It's revolutionary.
It's
Wait until you guys see it. It's something you've never seen done in gaming before.
Yes, that logo was the reveal of it alone. It's just groundbreaking. I mean, really. No, don't leave. We're over our time. I mean, we might just BS after the show, but
yeah. But with that, I'm going to end our podcast here. Thank you for tuning in, checking out our review of the decade, and we'll see you again on the next episode, on episode 38. Until then, check us out on Facebook and Twitch.
Peace out, peoples.
Outro clip.